Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to make a tea bags bookmark. I want to do that for quite a while because I think that is cute. When you do journal, you deal with a lot of tea bags, and sometimes I insert the photo into the tea bags and make a very cute tag. And I thought, that's a good idea to make a bookmark. I make a lot of bookmarks, something like that. But somehow I think when you put it in a corner, it may be easy to fall off. I still like the bookmark that you put between the page. So I have the idea of making some slow stitching tea bag like bookmark, and it is small. It is good to use your fiber scraps, and you can add whatever decorating stitchings on top of it, or you can just leave it as that. So it's pretty flexible. So my plan is to have one side with fibers just cover up. I may or may not add stitchings on top of it, but let's see how they go. I want to use glue to stick, glue temporarily attach it because it did save a lot of efforts. I can do thread basting. I can do with pin, but I just like to try the idea of using glue stick. It may not work, but let's see. See, it's a bit too hard to use on felt. I have to admit. If you use on paper, that may be easier. So yeah, let's change the plan. Just do the thread basting. It's not that hard. Oh yeah, I want to do the shortcut, but obviously it's not working. Sometimes it's just like that, But I like to do the proper thread basting because it is more stable, and I can take that out later. I also have some idea of making brooches with bit of like monster face or something that an image. Oh, I forgot to bring that back. Or any image that's using small fiber scraps. Yeah, because I love to make smaller things. It is something that I really like. Why? I don't know. It probably because it's not that stressful, when you do big projects like charity sewing or a clothes, then I don't know, I feel stressful. So see, it's pretty easy. And on the other side, I want to do something like a patchwork. I have lots of fiber scrap like that, and I love that because it has cute things like that. And when I do the patchwork, I need to make sure, first of all, I need to make sure it is the piggy is on the center, and then I want this piece to, when it stitched down, it has enough to go over to the edge of the felt, because I want it to cover the felt. Something like a pictures with a focal point. Sometimes when you do patchwork, you put a lot of things together, then somehow it looks too busy. But if you cut it down into small pieces like this, then you can use as a focal point, and you know, our attentions will focus on the centerpiece, and we can admire the cuteness of the fibers, or we will be more you know, pay attention to the colors or the color combinations or the fiber itself. So it's kind of like bring you know, attracts people's attention to something that we usually don't look at. That's what I want. Like, even tiny piece has its own beauties, and let's just take some time to admire the beauties of each pieces. And that's also the problem of scrap, because you are never sick of scrap, because every scrap has its own character. I don't really pick it about, you know, what fiber scrap that I have. Some that's like really expensive scraps, like you know, those Liberty Motors scrap is more expensive. I do like that if I come across that, but I'm happy with whatever scraps that I have, because I know I can make good use of that, and each piece has a bit of cuteness. Like this one, just some farm animal, but I love them. I make these other fibers, someone give it to me for free. I make most of them into library bag. Some I sell it, some I donate. Oh my god, the kids. That's the problem. Hey, that's the problem of making video. They are constantly at the background. So I almost done finish stitching this down. I apologize for all the noise. It is on the weekend when I'm doing it, and there's a whole bunch of kids playing in my house. Wow, you may ask why I still stitching when the children playing. Well, that's a good question, because that's the only time that I don't particularly need to engage with them, because they can play with themselves. I just need to keep an eye that they're not going too crazy. But you can imagine the environment that I'm having. Like, it's hard to get a time that you're absolutely quiet and peace. Yeah, but it's still a treatable, right? We still can do something among the chaotic, or the noise, or the hustle. I will finish this, and then I need to check on my kids. basically just something like that. That's why I say all this slow stitching, patchwork, whatever hand stitching stuff are suitable for parents with busy life. I am a good example. I survived a busy life, and this is something that we can do, like 5 minutes here and there, and if I need to stop, then I can stop anytime that I want. Instead of big projects with so many things laying on the table, we can just keep things like very small, tidy. Then you can stop anytime you want. You have your needle case ready, so you put the needle back, something like that, put the needle back and close it. It's pretty straight away. It's a bit hard to do this one because it's a little bit bulky, but still achievable. Let's spacing down. It's quite a good idea to group the kids together, so the parents can, at least one of the family can have a bit of quiet time, so we can swap. And today you can play in my house, and next day you can play in your house, and we do a bit of share parenting. Kids don't mind that because they love it. See how bad I did. It shouldn't be like that, but because I'm in a hurry, because they coming in anytime. Oh, horrible monster. Okay, so yeah, that's a bit bulky here. How about that? Oh no, should do it from here. But I guess at least you will know I'm a real human, not AI or anything, because all this noise is hard to copy. It's hard to AI can't do with this noisy background. I guess AI is so needed, so perfectly. Okay, that will do, something like that. So I will re-stitch these two together, so it will make a tea bag. I think this tea bag is a little bit bigger, but yeah, it's okay. Oh, come on. Okay, finally I fixed up the kids after my daughter and her friends screening for an hours. They want to get in the water, so I have to get in the water with them. So you can see in between the porches that I make, this slow stitching is not slow, because in between the slow there's quick, there's some fast forward things happen. Okay, so I'm basting these two, and what I'm going to do is do feather stitches around this focal point. And I also make these tabs thinking that when the tea bags have a little dangling piece of paper like that. So I'm making this, and I have a piece of felt. I make this right side to right side and then turn inside out, because I like this tiny house. I think it's from the same fibers, so I think the color match well, and it's lovely to be like a dangling. And I cut this felt piece thinking that I can, you know, insert into this square, but it is too hard. Even with things like this, I still can't get them in. I can get them in, but I can't, you know, even have the pointed match. Anyway, just too hard, so I give up the ideas and I think of plan B of just put just tiny bits of stuffing. You can just lightly stuff it, doesn't need to be fixed, because you just need to add a little bit more texture. So you just need very minimum amounts of stuffing, and that's it. That's just enough. Once I close it, then let me just tuck this tail of threads in, then it's have nice texture. These two I probably won't put any stuffing, because it's once I stitch it together it will fit enough. So let's see. I don't know whether it work, because I never done this before, but let me just add the stitches, and then I will whip stitch the whole thing. Have the threads through here, and then attach this one. Okay, so I first start adding the decorative stitches, and just simple feather stitches. It's a bit tricky to work on small piece like this, but I really get used to smaller things like this. You can do the herringbone stitches, or straight one, or blanket stitchings, or whatever you like. Just a bit to decorate it. It won't be too many. Something like that. I recently find like the way I engage with my daughter, so that we don't need to have screen time. I'm nothing against screen time, but I just don't like, my daughter's watching iPad. We don't have TV, so that's iPad or computer. I don't want her to watch things for too long. That's not really good for her eyes. And I just thought that there's so many activities that we could do. It doesn't need to be, watching TV or things on the screen. And my daughter is very active, so she prefer to play with me or have someone to play with. Then she can she have no demand of screen time. And I finally have a weekend that with zero screen time. Like from Monday to Friday there's zero screen time, but weekend, if my husband is here, then he will allow her to watch 1 hour or so on iPad, because he can't deal with her for a whole day. He can't play with her for a whole day. I just couldn't understand why, guys can't entertain their children without screen time. So it is kind of like a babysit. But my husband go back to China for a while to take care of his sick father. So I have to deal with my daughters 24/7, apart the days that she go to school. And you may think that is hard, which is really hard. Yeah, I'm tired because I spend a lot of time to play with her, to engage with her, cry with her. But I feel happy. I feel happy because I have no more expectation that someone will lend me hands, but someone couldn't do their jobs properly. Because when my husband do something, then he's just not up to my professionalist level, and sometimes they're argument. And I know to let go. I already let my standard going down quite a lot, but there's some baseline that you can't just cross that. For example, the way that we educate children, I just couldn't compromise. So there's a bit of argument, because I have expectation that as a husband or as a dad that he should do something, or not like I'm not expect him to do super thing, but just normal things. But sometimes he failed, and I get upset and I get angry, and that's not very good emotions. But I don't allow myself to get upset for a long time, because that's not good for health. No one can destroy my happiness, even my husband. So that's my determination. So when I'm with my daughters for 2 weeks, then it is the time that I can do whatever I like, and I can rely on myself, and I find that I'm super happy because I find that I can do everything without a male, you know. I work, and I pick up, drop off my daughter, take her to dance, swimming, prepare her lunch, morning tea, and shop, and then I wash clothes, rubbish, take the rubbish out, wash dishes, doing homework with her, read with her before bed, take care of her in the middle of the night when she go to bathroom, and then wake up at 6:30 to go to work. And then I have to work on the weekend. I will have to work on Sundays. But I can do everything. I don't need an extra hand. That feels so good. There's some ladies that I think they really rely on their boyfriend or husband to do things, and especially emotionally, it's very dependent. But I don't get jealous, because yes, if there's a caring husband that can do everything, that's excellent. That is dream come true. But also, I'm happy that I'm living quiet and independent life, that I don't need to rely on anyone to help me. I know it's a bit weird, but it just I feel that I can control my life. I don't know whether you feel the same, but I feel so good. So nothing that you can't do is just maybe there needs a bit practice or need a bit arrangement or need a bit learning and adjustment. And during the entire time, I never stopped stitching. I still doing these bits every day. So when I hear someone saying that, oh, I'm so busy, I can't do craft, or I don't know how to start, it's so hard, you know. I think crafting is nothing harder than going to work or taking care of children. It's the easy things. Because you don't need to please anyone, and there's no KPI to measure you, and there's no deadline. You just do it, enjoy it, and that's it. So I couldn't understand why people have so many excuses. I'm sorry to say that, but I do think that this is excuse. Same as the excuse that my husband can't finish his housework. Same excuse that he's saying that he's too busy to take the rubbish out for just 1 second. If you want to do that, you can do it. As simple as that. I don't mind to show people around, you know, how to do that, but I do find that the reason that they can't do it is just they just don't like to do it. It's not as you know, it's just not their passion. You don't have that passion, then you can't drive people to do things. Very simple. I can't force my daughter to swimming if she doesn't like swimming, but she swim almost every day, couple times a day, because she like that. She like the feeling of, you know, under the water, in the water, even it's cold. So you can do many things if you have that passions. But I think society that we grown ups never quite, I can't say never, maybe it's the things in China, but when I grew up in China, we was forced to study really hard and learn so many hobbies and skills, not for the pressures of, you know, enjoying the activity itself, but to get better chance to go to better school. Everything is kind of like have KPI and link it to the ultimate goal to going to the school and being successful. So it is not surprise that kids don't enjoy the after school activities, or they don't enjoy practicing piano, that kind of stuff. I won't be happy if my parents force me to learn this or that. But I think they kind of like give up on me because they probably don't think it's worth to push their kids to do things that they don't like. I remember I learned piano for a while, but and then I need to wear the glasses because I can't see things that too close at that time. So yeah, that stopped. My mom said, "Oh, there's no way that, you know, you have to wear glasses and practicing piano. This just not worth it." So we stopped learning the piano, and that's the best decision because I really not good at music. I enjoy classical music. I listen to classical music, but I know that I have no talents on music, zero. It doesn't prevent me to enjoy that, but I just couldn't practice music very well. And then I learned dancing, but because dancing it needs a lot of practice, like stretch your body. If you most of the time it's not like in Australia that when you go dancing it basically just jump and skips and play around. In China you spend a lot of time to stretch your body. You lay on the floor, stretch your body, and it's freaking boring. And I complain to my parents and I feel so boring, and teachers always on me hitting my back because I didn't bend well enough. And my mom said, oh, what's the point, that you feel so painful and feel so boring. And then that stopped as well. What else I learned when I'm a child? Oh, I learned skate, but that's really not things because I like to do that. Drawing? No, I didn't learn much of drawing. Yeah, I can't remember. Not many. Lucky that my parent doesn't really force me to study and learn, and I'm quite a self-learning person. That from very young age I know to learn the stuff that I like. I read quite a lot. I read many books, even when I'm in primary school. Even during that time I'm not very good at English, I still grab some books and learn and read. So that's it. I think my parent giving up, pushing me to learn actually save me from the stress and getting sick of learning. So when I grown up, I think the reason why I still have that passion of learning and self-taught passion, it is because I got pressures of learning. I never get stress from learning. But a lot of Chinese boys and girls are already sick of learning. So that's quite surprising, isn't it? I'm so grateful that my parents give me something that not destroying my passion. Okay, here I choose a bit shiny, fine threads to stitch these two together because I don't want it to show it too obvious. It's okay to be obvious, but I don't want this with stitches to take the shine off here. So I use fine threads and I'm going to start from here all the way around here. When I almost come close to here, I will use a cotton to attach this piece to this bit. So it's just simple with stitches very close to the edge. Same way that you do the English paper piecing. You didn't see much of, or let's say you didn't see any English paper piecing in my channel because I don't like piece with paper. I did this for many years and I even did that to make a clothes, but I really hate the tedious of you know, cutting paper, stitching with paper, taking out the paper. I know you can leave the paper in. I think you have a lot of options. For example, glue, use the glue or basting or ironing, but none of that are things that I like because I don't like that tedious, as simple as that. I do use basting and then have stitched two sides together, but that is not exactly, you know, English paper piecing. It just I used to like it, but not anymore. From time to time I still want to do some hexagon English paper piecing, but once I start one and then two, and then kind of like I just couldn't bring myself to continue. I don't know why. Sometimes it's just like that. No explanation, no reason. It just somehow you just don't like that anymore. But I think we should allow our old passion to fade away, because something gone, it doesn't mean it's gone. It's because there's some project that more excited to attract you and motivate you to do. You don't need to have to do something for the sake of, you know, follow some trend or prom, or, you know, or just something that you should do. I like to explore different ways to do the same things, and I do find there's quicker, easier, or some method that more suitable to my personality. So I don't particularly follow rules. I know there's some rules that help you to do things better, but to be honest, I never a person who could follow rules to 100%. If I have to be honest, that I did cross the road when it's red line sometimes, and then if I see there's money in the streets, then I will pick that up and use that. I won't give it to the police or what. Yeah, it's just I'm not a perfect human being. Yeah, so I don't force myself to be someone that is too good to be true, and I don't force myself to follow the rules 100%. I think there's some flexibility, that if you don't do harm to others, you don't do harm to yourself, and well, I'm okay with that. I'm also okay with people that, you know, break the rules but not harming others. So when I do crafting, I never follow the rule, and usually I did start searching and see if other people have done so I can, you know, use a reference, and it can save me time to explore. But most of the time I can't find the answer that satisfies myself. So I have to do it many times with many ways until I find a solution that I'm absolutely happy with. Same as making reusable wipes, napkins. If you see my previous video, a lot of tutorial I see are using, a piece of fibers, for example, phenolates, used overlocker, lockers, or sewing, with another cotton piece turning inside out, that kind of stuff. But I'm finding solutions to use tiny scraps to make wipes, but I can't see anyone did that. Maybe there do have video showing that, but I just couldn't find it. So I start making myself. I first start with 4 patch, which I did last year and turned out very well. We use that daily for a year until it's getting a bit of tired, and then we retired it to wipe for kitchen and general cleaning. And then I make another bench with even smaller scraps. You never run out of teeny tiny scraps. Bigger scrap, I think, have more useful way to use that, like making bags, pouch, or what's that? A lot of things, even closed. But for tiny scraps, that not many people willing to use that. 2 things that I have tried and I'm proud of myself that I create. It is one, very teeny tiny fiber scrap made into reusable wipes, napkins. The second thing is patchwork scrunchies with any fibrous scrap, any fibers, slippery fibers, neat, woven, any fiber can do, and it can be patchwork. When you do patchwork scrunchies, you can follow a similar color scheme. Maybe I should do a tutorial to show that, but always that I'm too busy making it and I forgot to make video. Anyway, the idea is make a strips with similar color. For example, red, you can pair with red, pink, or red, purple. Don't pair with like color that is too contrast. I try something like Christmas, red and green, or purple and yellow. It just doesn't look right, because scrunchies is very scrunchies, like the colors all scrunching, and it will look a bit too busy, too dirty. But if you stick with the same color, similar color scheme, then it will look as one. It look better. Trust me, it look better. So these are 2 things that I rarely see people make, and because I'm tried that, I'm happy with that. And I think maybe the niche that I'm working on is tiny scraps, because I like it. I just like tiny scraps. I asked around, like, if you have tiny scrap, if you have very small scraps, save that to me, give it to me. I really don't mind to use that, because I know most of them are going to landfill. Not many people have the patience to make that, because it doesn't worth it. Imagine how many hours you need to work on these scraps before making into a pouch or bag. It's just not worth it. But if you make small things like this, scraps is good enough. And I love to make things like this. Not very ambitious, right? When I make charity sewing, for example, library bags, I more prefer to use a whole piece of fibers, so I don't need to sew them together and then irons and then add lining. It's much easier. But if I like, I can just put out some patchwork block that I pre-make and then sew them into a patchwork bag. So it depends on how I feel. But my logic is I don't cut bigger piece into small piece just want to make patchwork. I just couldn't understand the industry or the quoting. I don't understand quoting. Why people cut meters and meters fibers into a small piece and then you had to piece everything together and make into a bigger piece. It just doesn't make sense. With all this cutting, ironing, how much energy will waste? Of course it's beautiful. I absolutely love that. But I think it's more logical that you have scrap, then you turn the scraps into bigger piece and even bigger piece and then make a quote. I know this, I don't know. So that's why I never quite into the quotes, because if you don't want to cut down the fibers, your choice are limited, because scraps are harder to do. Actually, the scrap is very hard to deal with sometimes. It's easier to have meters and meters fibers with the colors you want, and you can plan that into certain design, and then you can cut it. You can calculate how many pieces that you need, and because cutting them with nice edge, then the seams can line up better. I understand it. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm happy with doing smaller things because I don't need to cut meters and meter fibers into making smaller things. If I have bigger pieces, I make them into library bags or things that for donation. No problem at all. For the smaller piece, I'm not hurried to make anything. I just make it when I have time, relax, and that's it. Oh, so cute, isn't it? I like to take the basting thread out when I stitch along, because I don't want to, when you stitch, sometimes you will go through the thread and it's harder to remove. Also, I like to take the basting thread out to adjust the shades of the things, because when you're basting, the shades of both sides may not perfectly matching, but you can adjust that. If you find your thread is blocking your needle, you can use your finger to temporarily hold it, and then you can go through the needle, and it have less possibility to tangle the threads, and it won't block your needles. So there's a lot of technique that you can use. As the more you stitch, the better you can manage your needle and thread. It almost became the needle and you and the threads became one. You know, in the Chinese or Japanese thinking, to become one. Soul and body and the things that you're working on became one, then you reach to a higher level, like I don't know how to explain. Something like you drawing, you know, or you painting, and if you became one with your pens and your heart and soul, everything became one, and it's come out so perfect that it almost like without any effort at all. But that takes a lot of practice, many years of practicing. So when you see artists that, oh, why they can do collage with such beautiful colors and such good combination, and why my collage look like a 5-year-old 5 years doodling. I think that's the difference. But I have nothing against a 5-year-old doodling, playing. I think I'm still at this stage. I'm still very just enjoying the plaything. It just sometimes I see artists that doing very beautiful words, and I think that needs the artist many practice and many inspiration. So I always appreciate other people's work, and I feel that I can learn so many from others' work. That's why I like YouTube, because from YouTube you can see a lot of talent people, how they create, their failure, their success, the idea. You may not use that, or you may not copying what they do, and you probably find it, oh, it's just not practical for me. But it's something that you can learn, and that is quite amazing. Like, it gives you another angle to look at things, and who knows, you probably find it not practical for your project, but somehow it might inspire you to do something that you never tried that before. Okay, I try to take this out because I almost come to the end. If you can't take that out, then don't take it out. Okay, I think I tie a knot of that. See, not a big deal. Okay. Okay, I have piece of cotton, then I may use to attach here. I'm not sure if I can do that. I want to hide the knot. Oh. If your knot go through pretty easy, that means you need to tie a bigger knot. Okay, that will do, I guess. Find a bigger gaps. Okay, yeah. Okay, and then go through in the middle point and hope that I can pull that in. If I can't, then no big deal. Okay. To make sure it won't come out, I will tie another knot here. Okay. Okay, then I will attach somewhere here in the felt or in the fibers, doesn't matter. Okay, make sure it didn't go through the layers. And that's it. Now you can adjust the how long it is, something like that. You don't want to be too long, something like that. Okay, just tie one or two knots here. Okay, and put the rest of the threads in, pull a little bit out so that's all secure. Make sure it stay in the middle line, and then you can clip it back and then you go on the hemming. Okay, I have finished it. I can't believe I did finish it within a day. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think the colors match quite well. The thickness are perfect. You can see it's stiff enough, but you can, of course, you can crunch it soft. And it's not very thick, and it's nice. Little picky. It's so cute, isn't it? And of course, you can be the center of the, the focal point. Enough of stitching. Simple stitching really enhance the whole piece. And adding by using the scraps with image like that are so cute. So yeah, that's it. That's the tea beds bookmark. I think I would do more, and I'll see how people react of that. You can also see the thickness of this is lightly stuck. So yeah, I will definitely make more, and let's see. So I will see you next time. Bye.